Where is your common sense? Where is your common duty as journalists to tell the world the truth? I'll answer questions in a moment. You are a part of the greatest lie any modern society has ever told. How do you feel? How can you say you're doing your job? Who are you working for? Robert Kennedy Jr. doesn't need to eradicate any vaccine from the program. He just needs to show you how long the safety trial was. 5 days after each dose. Injection site reactions and systemic adverse reaction were reported. A 5-day safety trial with no placebo group. Look it up, it's there. Not misinformation, written by the drug manufacturer. He just needs to make available to you and make sure that doctors give you true informed consent, that these are known side effects in every one of these. Lists pages and pages of injuries that are right here, written by the manufacturer by law because they are happening to real children and real people, and no one in front of me right now has ever written about this story. Why? We've never ever looked at those that got all 72 of their vaccines compared to those that got none. Back in 2017, the NIH, Francis Collins and Tony Fauci said, we will never do that study. You're journalists. Your job, like mine, like a detective, is to come up with motive. What would be the motive for the largest, most powerful scientific institution in the world, filled with the greatest scientific minds, to not do the most obvious comparative study? Do you think they don't realize if they'd have done a comparative study between the vaccinated individuals and the unvaccinated individuals and proved to the world that the vaccinated have less cancer, less ADD, ADHD, less lupus, less asthma, less autism? Don't you think you would have been printing that at the headline of every one of your newspapers? Don't you think they've run that study so that they could end this conversation forever? Come on. If you're being asked to be shills and pump out lies, quit. Start a podcast. Do something helpful for this country. I'd point out nervous system disorders for hepatitis B given to a day-one-old baby. Guillain-Barré syndrome, that's paralysis. And by the way, prior to a polio vaccine, that would have been called poliomyelitis. Paralysis still exists. It's still happening. Now it's a side effect of vaccination. Multiple sclerosis, exacerbation of multiple sclerosis, myelitis, including transverse myelitis, all paralytic diseases written here as being caused by a vaccination. Now you could say how many, but is that the only question? Do we actually live in a country where we're going to allow this to happen to anybody, especially a day-one-old baby? Let me continue. Seizures, febrile seizures, peripheral neuropathy, Bell's palsy, radiculopathy, herpes zoster, migraine, muscle weakness, hyperthesia, and encephalitis, brain swelling. Open up every one of these vaccines in the childhood schedule, and you will find encephalitis, a brain swelling event. Is it that shocking, really? Since the vaccine is designed to cause an inflammatory event to get your immune system to kick into gear. That's why they put neurotoxins like aluminum in the vaccine, so it will incite your immune system to swell your body. And if you're unfortunate enough that that swelling happens in your brain, now you're at risk of the symptoms and side effects of a brain swelling event, which, yes, can be autism. It can be Tourette's. It can be ADD, ADHD. This is science, folks. It's not misinformation. She said, I have seen children run across my office that were healthy, went and got a vaccination, and suddenly we're having issues spelling and reading, and we've heard the story over and over again. This movement is real. It's the real thing. Driven by moms that are tired of the media lying to them.
What is going through your head of what they've done to your boys?
I'm so mad, so when When we finally opened our eyes, I reached out to our pediatrician and I said, you need to file a VAERS report. They were injured by a vaccine. This is the vaccine. She kicked us out.
And you have ruined all of your power because in your 24-hour-a-day news cycle, spreading lies about Robert Kennedy Jr., lies about the safety of all of these products, including the chemicals that are in our food that's finally being reported upon. We are supposed to be the fourth branch of government, the fourth estate. We are supposed to challenge these things and say, for how many years will we let these injuries happen before someone decides to make a better product or do a study and figure out, is there a test we can do to see if you're vulnerable to these injuries? We've never studied who these injuries are happening to. Sure, go ask the experts, just like Tony Fauci, who told you social distancing was science and questioning him was questioning science itself. Just like the vaccine stops transmission, which every single one of you wrote. I don't know how many of you have apologized for getting wrong. But on the high wire one day before anyone, the show that I do online, before anyone received a COVID vaccine, I read the emergency use authorization by the FDA. And it said very clearly, this study could not prove whether or not this vaccine can stop transmission. So what were you writing about? Where was your science, and exactly how do you call the people that got it right the spreaders of misinformation? You have been the spreaders of misinformation. You have gotten it wrong, and America is still waiting for an apology. If I ever see you write in your paper that the experts say a placebo trial was done, then you better print it in that article, and I've said that to all of you. And send it to me and Robert Kennedy Jr., because at the NIH, Tony Fauci and Francis Collins admitted we don't do them. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the safety of our babies and our children? A day-one-old baby is getting a product that we only cared to test for 5 days. Does a healthy child not deserve better than that? Because a cancer patient does. Our grandparents get products that are against placebo for years. Why are our babies not mattering? And by the way, America has the highest rate of first-day baby deaths in the industrialized world, reported by CBS. And we've got to analyze those regulatory agents and doctors and scientists that put this stuff into our environment, allowed this stuff on our grocery shelves, allowed these things to be injected into our kids without a proper study. Those people should never work for the United States government again. And only people that remember why they're here, that believe in the Hippocratic oath to do no harm, we can do this together. And when we do, we will once again be the greatest nation in the world. Thank you, and God bless America.